And we're back.
We're back. Thank you again for joining us. This is part 3, Salt of the Streets. This is going to be called Government Interference.
Indeed.
And you've been watching us here on our YouTube at Salt of the Streets. We also have our Facebook, our Instagram, our Patreon, all at Salt of the Streets. Go there, sign up, become patrons, help us make more better content just like this, including what our newsletters, our book club, the beer shows, all that type of stuff. It's beautiful. Excuse me.
Give us enough money and we'll start suing that 501c3 we talked about last segment.
Absolutely. You can find all this at saltofstreets.com, including also we talk about frequently location skate shop in downtown Burlington. If you're in the local area and need a skateboard, go down there.
Oh, grab that shirt real quick.
Let's
pimp the shirt. We haven't pimped the shirts in a long time. We got shirts.
We got shirts going on here. Shirts. Y'all want a shirt?
They're in manufacturer. We make them ourselves.
We make them ourselves. We'll ship them out to you from our own work. Whatever sizes you want, anything you want. We're also getting stickers today. If you want some vinyl stickers, we have those. Let us know. Hit us up on Instagram. Fuck Facebook. We don't use that, so don't worry about that. I don't have one on here because I don't have any more vinyls. But
that's right. For some reason, I thought there was one on there, but no.
I have a black water bottle that has one on there.
That's what it is. So the vinyls are legit, man.
We're getting more vinyls today. So if you want one, let us know. Instagram, and we will hook you up. Okay. Government interference.
Let's do it.
So the first thing I want to talk about is the ATF NFA item seizures, right?
Okay.
I have a video that I will send you. It is from Mr. Guns and Gear. And so it is what it is.
Again, I was starting last night while we're doing this. I was thinking about starting a little YouTube gaming channel. For the rare occasions I get to game and stuff, I'm like, well, why don't I just do a fucking live stream about it? We'll just do that thing. And start looking into it, and part of the deal.
You see this black box right here?
Kind of make a name for your channel, and I was like, all the gun guys have their own. It's Mr. Guns and Gear. It's fucking Grand Thumb. It's like all these different things. It's like that's a tough sell when you're trying to talk to other people about like, hey, come take me seriously. I'm Mr. Guns and Gear. It's a tough deal, man. It's a tough balance.
So this video, just to give it some background, what this has to do with, the ATF has showed up at this man's house without a warrant, right, to collect an item called a solvent trap. And we're getting into some really background gun shit, right? If you're not into guns, this may not be something that you know about. So obviously there are suppressors, right? There's I also call them cans on the street all the time, and so you can get a can or a suppressor that you put on the end of your gun that lowers the overall signature of the gun, sometimes just the noise signature, sometimes just the heat signature. It doesn't matter. You can get them different ones that are better at different things. But you can also get a thing called a solvent trap, right? Which is kind of like a level down from a suppressor. One of the tricky things about a suppressor is that they are what is technically an NFA item, a National Firearms Act registered item, so you have to get a special tax stamp, a Form 1, I believe, through the federal government. They have to know about it. It takes a long time to process. It's an expensive thing. It's a whole deal. So you can get a thing called the solvent trap, which is like one step down from that. It works the same. They're not quite as good. You don't technically have to get them NFA'd because they're a solvent trap. It's a different thing, and it's for cleaning your gun. It doesn't matter. It's very it's not complicated. It's a way to work around the system, essentially.
But essentially operates the same as a suppressor?
Similar. It's not as good because it's not a suppressor. But the intent, quote unquote, is to help keep your gun cleaner. It traps some of the solvent or some of the stuff that comes out of it. It's
like the end of the barrel?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because I'm trying to think about utility. If I have to wait 2 years to get a suppressor,
takes a long time
that I probably can't get for my rifle,
right?
And I want to take advantage of the actual utility of the suppressor when I'm hunting, so I don't blow the game out for 5 miles around when I fire my rifle. The same idea. Still kind of
not
works.
Quite as good, but it's the same idea. It's the exact same thing.
Anything helps, really.
Yes.
Interesting.
So you can buy those items just in the last 6-9 months, right? When Joe Biden started coming after the home manufacture kits. This is technically an item that you home manufacture. There are also solvent traps that you get that are suppressors that are unfinished. That when you get them, you drill the last hole in them, and then they're usable. You also don't have to have those NFA because they're not technically solvent traps. They're not usable items when you get them, right? It's the same deal as how you could get an 80% AR-15 lower. Don't have to get it registered or anything because it's not finished when you get it. It's not a firearm. It's just a piece of metal. It's the same idea, right?
Just drill a couple holes and boom.
the federal government is coming after all these things, right? If you bought them online with a credit card, they have your information. They know where you live. They know where it was sent. They're going to go and they're going to try and get that item. And that was in question before, but there are more and more videos coming out all the time showing things just like this. This is at least the third video that has just come up on my feed. I'm not looking for them, right? If I look for them, I guarantee I'll find more and more and more of them. This is the third or fourth one that's just come up on my feed. So,
because these are like standard gun YouTube people that are doing stuff.
Mr. Guns and Gear, you can see, I don't know how many subscribers he has, but he's also been deleted multiple times. So how many subs?
740K.
Okay, he's been deleted multiple times. So that's still 740K and still pretty fucking good. He's one of the top gun YouTubers around. Like most people who start to get into gun YouTube stuff know who Mr. Guns and Gear is. So
I like it.
So we'll watch some of this video here.
Yep, we'll watch it and hopefully everything works good.
Welcome back, everybody. As you can imagine from the title of the video, today we're talking about the next step and what the ATF has been doing regarding FRTs or forced reset triggers, as well as solvent traps.
For just a second. That's another thing. Forced reset triggers. We talked about that in the past. A forced reset trigger is a mechanism. It's a trigger that you can insert into your gun, where if you hold the trigger in the correct position, then it will forcibly reset the trigger and allow you to mimic automatic fire, and that is a thing that you used to be able to buy on the internet. They're now banned. The ATF has taken them from storefronts. You can't go and buy them in the storefront anymore. You can't buy them on the internet anymore. It's an NFA item because technically it makes according to the federal government, technically it makes your gun a machine gun, which is not okay. You're not allowed to have that.
Yes, that's something we'll talk about with the active duty active printer.
Yes.
For the new folks here, just to kind of prime you on what's going on, if you haven't watched my videos I've done on this in the past, an FRT is a forced reset trigger. It requires a single pull of the trigger for each shot, therefore it is not a machine gun. However, the ATF has unilaterally decided that it is a machine gun, despite them saying it wasn't for a long time, which allowed a lot of people to purchase them completely legally and own them and use them completely legally. In a very similar situation, a solvent trap for a long time was completely legal to buy, and then you could, if you wanted to, turn it into a silencer or suppressor by submitting a Form 1 with the ATF. The ATF has ruled on that multiple times that was completely legal, and then of course they once again just arbitrarily said overnight that they were illegal. So what they're doing now is going door to door. You know, I've made videos on this in the past and people said, what are they going to do, come take them all? Well, it looks like the beginning of that has started. So beginning around the 18th of this month, ATF agents started going door to door looking for forced reset triggers, and basically the outcome was different depending on how folks choose to act when the ATF showed up. Some folks had signed letters saying that they had destroyed them, some folks had turned them over, some folks have asked if they had warrants and told the ATF agents to leave, because to date, as of what I know, there has not been any of these attempted seizures done in conjunction with a warrant. On that note, I do want to point out what I know. Most of what I know has come from John Crump, Ammo Land, and the Gun Owners of America. So thank you to all of them for putting out the information there. So
reputable
again, as far as what I know, the ATF has not had a single warrant for any of these attempted seizure operations. So just keep that in mind. As an American citizen, you have a right to ask for a warrant if a federal agent or local agent shows up to your house, and you can tell them to leave if they do not have one, because at that point they are trespassing. So with that, those were the FRTs, and basically that kind of started out, like I said, around the 18th and continued for like 4 or 5 days, where the ATF was just continuing to hit house after house which had purchased these. Now, speaking of that, most of these seem to be coming from the exact same gun broker dealer. So somehow, one way or another, the ATF has a list from this dealer who is still, as of right now, selling.
I've seen other reporting. Mr. Guns and Gear, if you go to his Instagram, he has a video of an ATF worker taking pictures with her personal cell phone of an FFL's sheet of the people that he sold weapons and items to on a personal cell phone. So they are, in fact, there is, I got to be really careful, there is evidence of the ATF arresting people or detaining people, taking their information in a way that is potentially not loggable by the law. And it seems that they're now using this information because this Mr. Gun, somehow they access this guy's gun broker, right? Gun broker is an account or a website that you can go to for private sales and stuff like that, where you can agree to buy a firearm from somebody and meet them at a registered FFL and have that transferred and then buy that gun from them. It's completely legal. You're allowed to do that. So this person has an account on Gunbroker. Somehow the ATF got their list and they've been going after the people that this guy sold shit to.
Jesus.
Parts and components for solvent traps or Form 1 silencers, and he claims that he was visited by the ATF in the past. They seized his equipment and told him not to do it, but yet he still is. So is that an ATF agent actually listing these items for sale? Could be. I don't know. I can't say that for sure. It just seems awful fishy that you were raided, things were taken, and then you're still selling it. But it is what it is. Now moving on to the solvent trap seizures. A gentleman named Nick who lives in Florida was recently visited by the ATF and took this audio and video recording of the encounter.
Fucking ads.
I'm so fat.
Brendan, you're not fat. It's the shirt.
I love this.
This is an ad, but not for us.
Look at Nate.
Hey, sir, how are you? Good.
Hey, what's going on, man?
How's it going?
Hey, with the ATF.
Okay.
I'm here about a solvent trap that you ordered.
Okay.
You still have it?
I'm not going to answer any questions.
Okay. Well, we're actually here to recover them because they're being used as suppressors.
Do you have a warrant?
I don't have a warrant. If you let me finish, I can talk to you. Okay?
Yep.
Immediately
They're
aggressive.
being used as suppressors. Now, we're just here to pick them up. If you don't have it, you can sign that you don't have it anymore.
I'm not going to sign anything.
Okay, don't sign anything. So what will happen is if you're caught with it, we'll prosecute you federally
Sure.
for an NFA item. Okay? You're obviously going to be on the radar now. I appreciate all the cooperation. We just came
Obviously
to
going
pick
to
it
be on
up
the radar now.
and have it destroyed.
Because I have a solvent trap.
But since you're being
Definitely not a threat.
such a polite person,
I mean,
we'll leave it at that. We know what you're using it for, correct? I mean, you bought a
No, you
jig with
don't.
it for your AR-15.
I don't know what
Whoa.
you're talking about.
Exactly.
So
This
but
isn't
if
the
you
first time we've done this.
If you want to come back with the warrant, I mean, you can do that.
Okay,
Take your hand
absolutely.
out of your pocket for me, please.
I'm sorry?
Take your hand out of your pocket for me.
You're on my property. I
Yeah,
can't put my
fuck
hands
you.
on
Yeah,
you.
get
All right,
away
we're
from
law
here.
enforcement. We're talking to you in an official capacity, so
You're
I'm
on
not
my
having your hand in your
property.
pocket. So we're not trying to be jerks here.
You are, though. You're
We're
the
not.
ATF.
We're not.
I mean,
We're
you're
here-
the ATF. Come
We're
on.
idiots?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, what'd
I
you
said
say?
you're the ATF.
Correct.
All your entire job is to take away people's guns.
I don't think you have any idea what our job is.
I know
actually.
everything about your job.
Oh,
All it
please
is
tell
to
me
more about your
erode
job than you do,
Second
brother.
Amendment
Okay.
shall not be infringed.
So violent criminals with guns that we take off the street.
Such a fucking
That's-
jackass.
Like at Waco, like at Ruby Ridge.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Bro,
dogs?
you need to
Oh,
quit.
I need to keep my dogs
You
in
need
the
to
house.
quit reading so
Give
many
me a
books.
break. It
You're watching
Quit
too
reading
many
so many
shows,
books,
man.
Dude.
All right. Well, I'm sure we'll find you again someday.
No, you won't.
Yep.
Whoa.
I'm sure we'll
have
find
a
you
good
again
one.
someday.
I appreciate the cooperation.
Take it easy.
Yes, sir.
Watch out for the dogs, guys.
As you can tell from the language that the ATF agents were using in
That's
that
messed
encounter, they
up.
were very unprofessional. They were basically trying to threaten this man into complying with them. They actually did issue a threat of "we'll see you again." We all know what that means, and obviously these gentlemen were not acting
not
professionally
okay.
in any way. I personally did a very brief stint in law enforcement decades ago now at this point, over 20 years ago at this point, and we were constantly taught to de-escalate every situation. It appears these agents simply do not have that same training. Regardless, this is a very scary
the
time
IRS
right now. You
agents know
guys
that.
have seen what's going on
Yeah, you wouldn't
politically with the
pause this.
weaponization
And
of
since
various
then,
law.
Mr. Gunzy here has reported that this man was visited at his work. He was not visited. The ATF agents went to his work to try and find him, and they asked if he was there. So
That's so fucked up.
this is happening. You saw the way that they acted, right? Just like he said, they were extremely unprofessional. They were threatening him. This is not good. This is happening all over the place, right? And this is not the important thing. Is not one of the very important things to remember is that this does not stop here. This is only happening here right now because this is the easiest way to push back against a government that is trying to infringe on all of your rights, is to first take away the easiest way for you to defend against that. That's why this is happening first. It's only happening for guns now because it's the most direct way to fight back. When the guns are no longer, it will happen to anybody for any reason they decide at any given time, because that is how this works.
Yep.
The first way to take control of a populace is to de-arm them, to disarm them. This is what they're doing, right? They know what they're doing. They're trying to be fucking assholes about it. They're trying to be smart about it. Oh, you need to quit reading so many books.
Yeah,
right?
that was messed up,
Because
man.
Waco and Ruby Ridge that's crazy, right? The government would never do anything like that. They would never do anything like that.
But they did. And they continue to.
Right, and it's
You're
insane.
at my
Those
door,
are
dude.
Crazy examples, right? It's just two examples. Just two examples of when the federal government murdered American citizens for no fucking reason. That's all. That's relevant. That matters. I don't care how many decades it's been. That matters. The federal government did these things. Right?
And you
Randy
are at
Weaver's
my
wife,
doorstep.
Vicki Weaver, was shot in her face while holding her daughter in her own home.
Yep.
I don't want to hear about it. You're reading too many books, right? You're reading too many books. Because then they taunted him for days. Whoa, Vicky, why don't you come out? Vicky, we're talking. Vicky, send your kids out after they murdered her in front of her entire family. Get the fuck out of here. You read too many books. Oh, do you mean about when you murdered children at Waco? And then you tried to push somebody to be the head of the ATF that lied about what happened there? That's what you're talking about? We're reading too many books. That's so crazy that you would ever bring something like that up, right?
Yeah.
That was in the 90s. Waco was in the 90s. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. You've obviously become exponentially more involved in my life because not only did you track my purchase of a legal item, but you also looked at what else I bought and where it was shipped. You guys are all over my financials now. You know where I'm at. You're threatening to say like, well, now you're on our radar now. You know that, right? Like this is how this is going to work. This is arguably worse in so many different ways because it is much more invasive than those initial Ruby Ridge and Waco were. Those were very tragic events. Obviously, they peaked at deaths and multiple deaths and murders on people's property and stuff. But this is, when you really get down to the details of it, this is arguably worse than that because this is tracking the finite purchases that you're doing on the internet, that they're tracking and then finding out where you live and coming to your door without a warrant and then bullying you and trying to scare you into giving up an item that is legally owned, that they have no proof that you are doing anything illegal with.
They haven't even framed you into a crime to try and pin you into a corner, right? We talked about Ruby Ridge with Randy Weaver. We've written about this before with Randy Weaver.
Yep.
They had an ATF informant who talked him into sawing off shotguns because they knew that he was hard up for money, right? He had never done it before, but he did this time. And then when they did that, they tried to get him to become an informant. When he said no, they went after him. They tried to prosecute him for federal gun charges, right? When they convinced him to do this because they knew that he needed money, right? We can talk about that shit all fucking day, right? I'm not going to offend David Koresh. David Koresh probably was a piece of shit,
Yeah,
right?
he was crazy, man.
You also murdered fucking children in the desert. You murdered children in the desert. There are autopsy reports that confirm that the children have bullet holes in them. You fucking murdered children in the desert, right?
Yep.
You put gas in the building. You lit shit on fire. You murdered children in the desert. I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna fucking stand for it, right?
No.
And now they're coming to your door without having even framed you for a crime. They have arbitrarily designated an item that you legally purchased, right? They arbitrarily designated an item that you legally purchased into an NFA item overnight after you bought it. And now you're a felon.
Yep.
Now you're filming. They did this with the honey badger. They did it with the bump stock. They did it, and it doesn't matter what president it is, right? The bump stocks happen under Trump. It doesn't matter what president it is. It doesn't matter what party. This is about I know you don't like to use the term deep state. I only use the term deep state because it's easy to convey the message that we're talking about a clandestine group of people that exist within the federal government, right? This is a group that's so focused on power that they will do anything that they can to retain that,
Yes.
right?
I hope they knock on my door after 5:30. What was it? I was going to say, nothing wrong with the deep state, by the
His
way.
comments didn't even show up there, whatever he said.
Boo.
YouTube must not like that.
Must not. Either that or I got some kind of setting on which I might not know even exists.
They don't
But,
like the shit that we're saying.
Yeah, like the deep state thing, the only reason I don't like using the term deep state is because there is so much, false negative equivalency to it. But that's why I generally use the term bureaucratic state, because but we're all talking about the same
shit,
thing.
yeah.
It's all the nameless, faceless, gray shirts that are propping up the system and the powers that be. I mean, these are the same people that run this giant agency that come to your house without a warrant to try to extort you into essentially a crime. And they're offering
blackmail you.
And then they're trying to we'll
threaten you.
blackmail you and say
you.
you can hand this over right now and then everything's cool. Or now you're on our radar, man. Now we're going to be following you. We're going to be watching you now.
You can sign this affidavit that says that you, or this document that says that you don't have it, and then if we hem you up, we're going to assign you. If we find you have it, we're going to hem you up for another crime on top of possession of this NFA item, lying to the federal government or whatever the fuck we're going to call it.
Yeah. Either way, we're going to throw you in a cage for the rest of your life.
Yep. Because you have a piece of metal with holes in it.
Yeah. And
that you could use to maybe make your gun a little bit quieter.
So I don't know if I'm just gonna think this out real quick.
Let's hear it.
So I don't know if this is a white pill or a black pill moment, but the federal government is always going to be one step behind, if not more, as time goes on.
Can't stop the signal.
Because home manufacturing of firearms is becoming more and more prolific, and people are becoming more and more intelligent about this stuff all the time. And it's going to become easier. It's going to become more accessible to everybody. And the way the ATF and the NFA, the way they try to go after these different parts is so behind the times that there's already a plethora of people they have to go after now because they just made this thing illegal. And and we're, as a populace, going to be making things faster and faster and faster to the point where they will not be able to keep up. So at some point, we will be ahead of the game.
I know a guy who has 380% lowers. He's just waiting to mill out right now.
Boom.
I used to have a jig myself. I got rid of it.
That's right.
You shouldn't have it. It's
You
not right.
you got that notice in the mail or on the internet, and you're like, okay, well, this has got to go. Goodbye.
I don't have 3D printer neither. Definitely can't get in for less than $300 on the Amazon.
Definitely can't do that. Or find the files you need to for free.
Definitely can't go to controlpew.com and read an entire control. You cannot go to controlpew.com and download the guide to learn how to 3D print firearms at your house. You cannot.
Nope.
You cannot. It's not good. It's immoral. You should not be doing that.
The technology doesn't exist where you can essentially just click, drag, drop, print for less than $500.
No.
For far less than $500, actually.
No.
It doesn't exist yet.
They don't sell the PLA
Thank
Plus
God.
on Amazon at all.
No, they don't. I'll put that in my search history.
Lost
That's
on my
fine.
gear in a boating accident. Oldest
Amen.
one. I love it. That's the classic.
Yeah.
The boating accident.
I got
is
a
the
boat
classic.
right out front, man. It's
That's
easy,
the
man.
classic.
It's Puget Sound. It's a small boat.
Yep.
Things get tippy, man. You know, I was gonna go out there and do some bird hunting.
Yeah.
On the boat.
I can personally attest that you used to be able, not anymore because they're legal in Washington. You used to be able to buy a jig on the internet for $300 to finish up aluminum AR-15 lowers. You used to be able to do it.
Yep.
Shouldn't do it anymore.
And what's the agency now?
80percentarms.com?
No.
What?
I don't know what you're talking about. No, because the conversation about the high capacity magazines.
Yep.
When that was had, when that our totalitarian state stepped down on that, it was, you know, if you can go to a website and hit order and then it's affirmed and they ship it to your house, you should be fine, right?
Right.
But now I didn't realize there's an agency out there, the Postal Inspection Agency, that is a federal agency that can essentially go through your mail. And that's their job, is to go through your mail to make sure you're not shipping illicit goods to places.
You just love to see it, don't you?
You love to see the fascist state in action.
That's nice.
God, I hate the fact that I get to use fascist so often these days.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing, man.
So this is happening. So if you own or used to own any of these items, be careful.
Word.
Ask for a warrant. Don't open the fucking door. If they don't have a warrant, tell them to get the fuck off your property.
Yeah.
You don't owe them anything. What they're doing is illegal. What they're doing is immoral. What they're doing is unconstitutional. Do not stand for this. Now is the time. These are your rights. They're inherent. They're within you. Nobody gives them to you. No one can take them away from you. Do not do this. If you are, and that is, I say that to the federal government that is inevitably listening and to the citizens that are here. Do not do this. Do not come to the houses of American citizens and try to deprive them of their natural rights. And if you are an American citizen, do not allow someone to deprive you of your natural rights, especially in your own home. This is your property. This is your life. Defend it the way that you find to be most fit.
That's right. There was an analogy I heard once relatively recently that when a federal agent comes to your door, you treat them like a vampire. If you don't invite them in, they don't get to come in. If they got a warrant, there's nothing they could do. Nothing you could do about it, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But if they don't have a warrant, don't invite them in, and then you don't have any problems. There's nothing they can do about it. They cannot treat you like a suspect in a crime for you taking advantage of your own rights and saying you can't come in here without a warrant.
No. And it's just like a car, declining for a police officer to search your car is not reasonable suspicion to search your car.
Yeah.
You have private property. You're allowed to have private property.
Yeah. Unfortunately, in practice, we'll see how that shakes out as time goes on. But
this brings us to our next story, right? And this is what I was calling active duty active printer. Right?
I love it.
So this is from
Pull this one up.
This is from Army News, and we bring this one to bring it back up because it's exactly what we're talking about.
ArmyTimes.com.
I prefer bolt action anyway. I don't believe in wasting ammo, but shall not be infringed means as an American I am permitted to own any arm I see fit, regardless of rate of fire. You're goddamn right, Joseph Garrett.
Amen.
Also,
there
may or may not be some files to 3D prints and bolt action firearms.
Word.
There may or may not be a young man who goes by the Instagram handle of Suckboy Tony, who, I know it, there may or may not be, who has designed and printed a fully 3D printed firearm that also fires 3D printed bullets.
Whoa.
That he hand casts and hand fills himself.
Like I said, man, technology's going to catch up.
It's also arc fired electricity. It may or may not be extremely interesting to see. From an engineering perspective, because
and physics
he's
standpoint.
fucking in his 20s, may or may not be in his 20s. It's may or may not be fucking wild.
That's legit.
May or may not be.
May or may not be.
I don't know. Allegedly, I don't know. So this article's from ArmyTimes.com. So goddamn, I'm happy you guys are here. This is a great show. And this is entitled "Soldier Indicted for Selling 3D Printed Automatic Weapon Converters." Right? Mm-hmm. A soldier was indicted Wednesday, and this article is from August 26th. So a soldier was indicted Wednesday in Texas federal court for allegedly 3D printing and selling parts that can turn commercially available firearms into automatic weapons. SPC Grant Lee Mosley, 25, a combat engineer at Fort Bliss, Texas, confessed on August 2nd to manufacturing and selling illegal gun parts, an FBI agent stated in the criminal complaint against Mosley. Mosley was arrested the same day at his confession. Federal law enforcement in May came across a channel on an unspecified online messaging platform, likely
Telegram.
I
was curious about this.
Telegram. That's a big one for especially the gun community. Telegram is huge. Yeah, it's a messaging platform, but you can
supposedly encrypted or something, right?
Yeah, and people can just subscribe to your. I don't have one myself. There's a bunch of places, dudes I follow that have them, and I've just not pulled the trigger on making one, especially because I didn't understand it at first. And when I started there and it was like messages here, I was like, whoa. But it sounds like you subscribe to people's threads and they post messages and people comment on the messages. So it's
Signal needs to get some kind of thing going with that. Signal should create some kind of.
So it's that type of deal. So it's likely Telegram. I don't know that for sure. Unspecified online messaging platform advertising 3D printed AR-15 automatic sears, which is a piece of plastic that you can draw. It is cost effective. PLA, not to interrupt myself, PLA plus rolls are like $30. Cost you less than a roll to print the whole stock. And then at that point, you're just buying the internals, the barrel and stuff like that. It's a project thing. You build it yourself, all the rest of the stuff. But
especially with the price of ammo right now, I mean,
you should just hit it with a quick YouTube. Just hit it with a quick YouTube, Joseph. It's pretty interesting.
Not right now.
No, not right now.
After the show.
It's worth a Google, though. So an auto sear is a piece of plastic that you drop into the back of a lower that stops the hammer from getting locked back. The bottom of an AR-15 lower stops the hammer from getting locked back. You should hold the trigger down. Blah, 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 blah. Automatic fire. And Glock automatic switches, and that is a thing that you put on the back of... We're all about education here, and that's why we're doing... This is clear, right, Colin? You see that in there?
Clear.
Okay. So this... it's an item that you put right here, and it's a little switch that it's a literal switch that you hit back and forth that just turns your Glock from semi-auto to automatic.
Interesting.
Switch it over, just hold the trigger down. Blah, 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 blah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know that much about the mechanics of that,
Yes.
the upper assembly of the Glock like that to see how that could work. But
so this mechanism here, right? That's what locks back the firing pin. this mechanism here.
Okay.
And so,
Oh, yeah.
this
So
is-
by
this
changing
is
that-
the back plate, you swap out the back plate, and it pushes something in here. I don't know that much about it. Pushes something in here that stops that from getting locked back, because now it's locked back.
Yep.
So I can't push it forward. You have to push the firing pin and run the mechanism, and then it will run. So yeah, you swap out the
Interesting.
back plate.
Manufacturing of firearms is so interesting.
Yeah, that's something that Glock, they make that for the military. They make a switch themselves, like a fucking, it's called like a G29 or some shit like that, that you can get. It's a European thing. A Glock is European, so they mostly have it in Europe.
Belgian?
But Austrian.
Austrian.
Yeah, and it comes like that
Gotta
with a
watch those
switch,
Austrians.
with a switch on the back and a big old fucking hockey stick clip on it that you just... Yeah, and it, drains it like fucking that. It's crazy fast.
Well, because it's just
Just 9 mil.
how
yeah.
fast the compression of the gas pushes that
Yes.
pin back and forth.
It's blasted. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. So we got a hemmed up
Be
this
like
in June and July. An
yeah.
undercover officer bought red plastic AR-15 Sears and a metal Glock. Also, Joseph, make it whatever color you want. That's the cool thing.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
And a metal Glock switch from the seller. Ooh, so he was milling shit. Investigators used a variety of clues from fingerprints on the gun parts to credit card records to receipts and Ford Bliss dumpster to identify. They're going through his trash.
They're going through his trash. They're looking at his credit card purchases.
Yes. And we saw earlier this week, right? I shared this maybe on our Instagram, maybe on my own Twitter. Good on the gun safety boys, but I still think it's wasteful to go full auto.
Word.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah. It's about having the ability to be able to.
It's about the right. Yeah.
it's
That
about the
type
right.
of shit is about the right.
Yeah.
On the one time, and we've talked about this, right, where I feel that a fully automatic, an auto sear would be a legitimate use is in some type of real, if you're in the shit, right, and you're working in a squad in some real, any scenario in which you and some of your friends are in active warfare, right, and one of the people in your squad has a large capacity magazine and has an auto sear on their kit, and you get into some shit, and one of those guys puts in the drum mag, the 100-round mag, then puts in the auto sear, and you have like actual proper suppressive fire.
Yeah.
That's the time in which that has, to me, practical use.
That was going to be when I think about
Yeah.
tactics and whatnot, that would really only be useful in a suppressive fire situation
Yes.
where you need to lay down fire
Yes.
superiority so that whoever's in your squad can move safely.
That's what
while
machine
keeping-
guns are for.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what
exactly what
machine
machine guns are
Yes.
for. Yes.
So that is the time in which that would have practical use.
Yeah.
How much or the likelihood in which you would use it practically, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it would be a useful item to have, especially because it would cost you $4 if you made it yourself.
Word.
Maybe. Theoretically.
we don't know.
I don't know. In June and July, but auto sears and a metal Glock switch from the seller. Investigators used all the things. Yeah, okay, so this is what I was saying. Earlier this week, we shared either on our Instagram or on my Twitter, the Giffords Institute put out a notice where they're asking credit card companies to stop people from making purchases, like large purchases of firearms. So you're asking companies, actual gun lobbyists, right? Gun restriction lobbyists are asking credit card companies, private companies, to investigate and interfere in people's personal finances based on political and social reasons. That's really what we're talking about. That's not fake. You can look that up. You can find the Giffords Institute, right? That's real.
Yep.
They're asking credit card companies to look into your purchases. They're really doing that.
Well, how do you think they found this guy?
Yes, 100%.
The feds went into his fucking credit card purchase. They don't do that. They don't have just blanket access. They have to ask for them.
Yes.
And then they get them because these credit card companies are shilts for the federal government. So obviously they just do that. But that is the federal government working hand in hand with large corporations, which by definition is a fascist thing to do.
Yes.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, no, 100%. Law enforcement also found a 3D printer in Mosley's storage unit in El Paso, Texas.
Lords of War right there. Running out of the storage unit.
A member of the 1st Armored Division's 1st Armored Brigade combat team, Mosley joined the Army in May of 2019. First Armored Division at Fort Bliss strive to ensure the safety of our soldiers, dependents, and guests living, working, and recreating on Fort Bliss. The First Armored Division Public Affairs Office said in a statement to the Army Times, "We thank our intra-agency partners for their efforts to keep our community safe." This case was investigated by the FBI, the ATF, the Army Criminal Investigative Division, and the Postal Inspection Service, like you were just talking about, and is being prosecuted in the Western District of Texas. So that is 4 different federal services that work together against this man to infringe on his rights of personal defense.
Throw out some firecrackers, you might get say that. I mean, it's definitely more cost effective.
Yes.
Well, I mean, and you think too, before the era of generalized automatic weaponry, the early World War I and stuff, that was the idea. Of you get enough people on a firing line with semi-automatic rifles like that. You lay down suppressing fire for for somebody to move, and you're essentially you're creating a defilade by de facto, because you're making sure whatever that enemy is on the other side cannot lift their head up to see what is going on. And that is the entire concept behind covering fire and stuff like that. And through technology, you've been able to go down from like 20 people having to do that, having to offer that support to make that mission a success, to one person.
Right.
Even in World War II, one person with a 30 cal can do that comparatively. And that's also why tactically you also spread out your attack like that in case one position becomes suppressed, the others continue to bear fire down them. But that's small unit tactics and stuff like that. But yeah, it is 100% when you're thinking about an individual's ability to offer that ability for themselves, to have that for themselves. It is for one reason only. You're not going to accurately be able to hit a target with fully automatic fire. That is just not a thing that is capable.
Not consistently.
It is not 100%. You get within a certain area, obviously, but at the end of the day, it's for suppression, and that is what it is used for tactically. Nobody understands that it is against the concept of anybody owning a machine gun. They think you're going to stand in a crowd of people and then just spray and pray, and that's what's that's what's going to happen, because they don't understand the use of why the machine gun was created to begin with. It's just to mow down as many people as possible. No, the reason it was created was to offer a single point of suppressing fire for a unit to be able to move safely or move out of danger safely. That's generally when you offer suppressing fire. It's to not generally get a tactical advantage on an enemy, but it is to offer a safe retreat for the unit.
Right. 100%.
Word.
So this guy's being charged with 4 counts: dealing or manufacturing firearms without a license, transferring or possessing a machine gun, dealing firearms without paying an occupational tax, and possessing a firearm with no serial number. If found guilty, Mosley faces between 5 and 10 years per count, and a fine of up to $250,000 per count.
Yeah.
So, based, right? First of all, based Mosley. We are
based Mosley.
Yeah, we are with you. Fucking shout out to you, SPC Grant Lee Mosley. So, thank you for specialist, right? Is that what that is? Specialist. Yeah. So, Grant Lee Mosley.
E4, E3.
So, 25 years old, combat engineer. Thank you, sir. Doing the fucking Lord's work out here.
And now you're gonna go to jail.
And now you're going to be in jail for probably a really long time.
Yep.
And you're going to owe the government a bunch of money.
Yeah. Which you won't be able to pay. So it'll put you'll be financially destitute, and you'll be in prison.
Honey as a public defender, that's sad.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens to most people.
That's fucking sad.
Most people can't afford what it costs to defend yourself. Even though you're supposed to be presumed innocent till found guilty, but that's not how our system works, obviously.
All gun laws are infringements.
Amen.
Okay. Trump date. Okay, so let's talk about this, right? You talked about this a little bit last episode, but everything that's going on with Donald Trump, right?
And we've had a lot
of documents that have come out.
We've had some more movement since then, too.
Yeah, we have kind of a better idea of some of the documents that have been there. This one is from CNBC, MSN. Trump raid judge to unseal detailed inventory of what the FBI seized at Mar-a-Lago, which I believe they did happen.
Indeed.
Yesterday. Also, Bill Barr was on one of these fucking Fox shows and was talking about how I lost this article about Bill Barr, but
shilling for the FBI.
Shilling for the FBI. Maybe he was saying that there was a lot of sussness that was going on with the Trump administration, and they were doing stupid shit, and people were lying to him. I'm having a difficult time with the Trump thing. Right.
Word.
I'm unsure of what to make of this whole deal. Okay. So we're not lawyers. So the deep nuances of when he's going to the
Legality.
Supreme Court shall not be infringed clear 100%. So, the nuances of this, a lot of this is going to, I can't parse this out because I'm not a lawyer. I don't understand. What I understand at this point is that there isn't much question to the idea that Donald Trump or the Trump group was knowingly keeping documents from the federal government that they wanted, right? And it's unclear of who made that call, of it, whether it was Donald Trump and someone was telling him that he didn't have to turn over the documents, or it was Donald Trump because he didn't want to turn over the documents, or if it was a member of the Trump team who just was choosing not to do it, or if they're really super negligent and just no one really knew what they had there, because that's part of the confusing narrative from the left, is that he's just shoving boxes or shit into boxes, and so he doesn't even really know what he has. So he took all of this classified stuff and stuff he wasn't supposed to have without even knowing it. So... but also he's colluding with somebody and trying to do really bad stuff, but they don't have evidence for malice. So I don't even understand really the narrative of that side, because it's like the negligence is so high, but also it's very calculated and they're trying to do something, but we don't know exactly what they're doing yet because the FBI is redacting all of this, the very serious things. So
the narrative as a whole does not make sense because there is no narrative that can be created at this point. So the corporate media at this point is trying to craft a narrative that makes sense, but the problem is every time there is any kind of new information drop, they have to recraft the narrative, because what they crafted to begin with was based off of speculation off the beginning.
Right.
The idea, the latest and greatest from the updated receipt off of goods that were taken from his establishment were a lot of folders that were marked top secret or classified or something like that, but that didn't have any documents in it. And then they start talking about how it was not out of normality for Trump to just keep classified and unclassified documents out of their folders in separate boxes together with all sorts of different things. And so, and so they're having a really hard time trying to piece this together, but somehow or other,
they're saying people that he would have shit on his desk, and at the end of the day, one of the aides would just take it and just shove it all into a box.
Yes.
And then when the box was full, they would just take it and put it into a closet.
Yeah.
Which seems fucking weird, because what are the chances the president's only going to work on something for one day?
Word. And I would hope
those documents are never going to be relevant again. And we're just so down to waste paper and shit that we're just going to reprint things thousands of fucking times. Not that that's not feasible, that people would just reprint the same thing over and over again. But what's the fucking point if it's already there?
Yeah.
Isn't it? Aren't there people whose job it is to get the papers together for him to look at? Right?
You'd imagine.
Go through the fucking box. You have the security clearance, right? Because you're looking at all the shit when you put it into the box. Or when you close your eyes and you just put it all into a box and then put it into a closet. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So you have a security clearance. Go through the box. Take out the things that are relevant and put them back on the desk. That's probably what happened.
Yeah.
So,
and part of the narrative at this point is when they look at the empty folders now, they go, okay, well, what happened to the documents? What happened to the documents? Odds are they're just in a box.
They're in one of the other boxes.
Yeah. But the run-on narrative that people take and they run with and they create this own thing is that, well, there was something in them, and then he sold them to the Russians, or he sold them to somewhere.
In the comments, someone in our comments,
he sold nuclear secrets.
You guys are gonna love this. We've been getting mad hate, and we love the hate.
We
love the hate because the comments just boost the channel. So that's again, I like, comment, subscribe. I keep forgetting to say it, but
comment, baby.
Like,
get
comment,
in there.
Subscribe. Tell everyone about this if you guys like this. Share it. Just share.
I
don't
it care if you're
something.
saying some nonsense. Just comment.
No,
bro.
someone commented on one of Cohen's clips and said, "Yeah, Donald Trump is selling nuclear secrets. Take that." And it's hilarious because I've heard the nuclear secrets thing. I also heard, God, I wish I could remember where it was from. I heard that there is a quote-unquote conspiracy theory that he was also selling information about undercover informants to foreign nations so that they could assassinate these people.
I heard that too.
There's been waves of assassinations of undercover informants that we didn't understand up until this point, and now it's starting to make sense because he had these documents about undercover informants.
Just selling them off.
I don't. Okay,
it
it
doesn't make any sense, man.
Right. So for the malicious intent, right? I heard the nuclear story, and I heard about still in the undercover information. And in both these things, I really struggle to believe that is what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And the part that I'm stuck on is the intensity of the means of all of this, right? And the raiding of the house, because they're telling you he's denying the subpoenas, he's doing all of these things, right? But I have to believe that they're requesting specific documents because they're afraid that something's going to happen with him, because they know what he has, or they have some idea of what he has, and that's how they were able to put out this detailed list of things they were looking for, right? If they raided Mar-a-Lago this way, I have to assume that they have some type of evidence that he was hiding these documents for a reason, with malicious intent, or else why would they do this, right? And if he is doing it with malicious intent, then where's the fucking receipts that he was doing it with malicious intent?
Well, it's all classified,
right?
so you don't get the receipts.
Then
I don't fucking trust you, man.
Seems very political.
Exactly.
It looks, the optics of it, at the very least, the optics of it look very political.
Yes.
Just
Yes,
in the
because they
proximity of the elections, it looks, just the optics.
100%.
So I don't. Well, we've talked for fucking months now of there are piles of evidence of reasons why you shouldn't trust the federal government inherently, and we have seen specifically in the Department of Justice and the intelligence communities. I mean, like a colander. Since Donald Trump got into office, the entire time, Maggie Haberman of this shit in the toilet and all this stuff, and people with knowledge of the situation and people close to the situation. That's how it's been for fucking 6 years now.
Yeah, man.
7 years since before he got into office. Right?
Yeah.
People close to the situation.
Journalism
At a
got down the
certain
tubes,
point,
bro.
when we have seen it be wrong at least half of the time,
At the very least.
and that's being charitable,
Very charitable.
right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to inherently believe you. I'm not going to just automatically believe you
Yep.
because you've shown me a picture of papers in a toilet that look like they have Donald Trump's handwriting on them.
Well, that's just because you're a right-wing MAGA extremist, Donovan.
Yeah, 100%.
You fucking Trump shill, you.
The terrorist.
Jesus. Can you do me a favor, good sir?
Yes.
Since you're right there,
Beer?
can you go grab me a beer,
Yes.
Chacho? Because I want to pontificate on this. Indeed, a surprise beer would be good. The crux of this to me, right, is that you could not paint a more perfect picture of being a political move at this point in time. We have had nothing but speculation come out since the get-go from this, primarily because everything we're dealing with here is of a classified nature and supposedly of such great import that nobody is allowed to see it, and it is so important that it has to be taken right now. There has to be a raid right now, even though Mayor Garland sat on this thing for a couple of weeks thinking about whether or not it was a good thing or not. This is all supposed to be so goddamn important that we have to do this blatantly unprecedented thing right now. But everything that has come out at this point paints the picture that this is nothing other than a political move. It is a weaponization of a federal agency for politics so that we can get power, because the midterms are right around the goddamn corner. And anything that we can get from this, anything we can get, we can use to our advantage, because we have to undermine the midterms coming around, because all the fucking Trump cultists that are getting elected, they have all this,
The MAGA Republicans.
that the goddamn Democrats are funding themselves. Okay, none of this. I don't understand how anybody with two eyes cannot see what the fuck is going on right in front of them. I do not like Trump. I'm going to say that right now. I am not a fucking Trump supporter. I voted for him one goddamn time because I was like, let's roll the dice and let's see what the fuck happens. Down with the establishment. I don't like Trump. Period. I'm not a fan. Generally speaking, I think there's 1.5 million other people in this country that could do a better job of running the country than he does or did. I don't like defending him, even though it is incredibly fucking easy to do at this point. It doesn't.
Feel good.
I don't like him.
Jordan told me she would vote for Trump the other day. We were talking about it, and she said, I would vote for him. And I turned and I looked at her and she said, it's true. And I was like, I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong.
Because at the end of the day, who else are you going to vote for? You only got two fucking options.
Yes.
Maybe a third.
Yeah.
And I
but that Trump economy fucking
Word.
ain't right.
Best numbers of our
I paid
lives.
$3.99 for gas on Friday, and I said, "Oh, thank God." And then I said, "Wait, fuck that!
Amen.
What the fuck?" Yeah,
I
nope.
used to pay $2.99.
Yeah. Deborah said, "So classified, they're posting pictures of the documents."
Amen.
100%.
That's what I'm saying. And who would have guessed? I think I pulled this from fucking Breaking Points. Who would have guessed that this little known job? Oh no, this is from IRL the other day with the best Bond villain ever. That the most important job in the entire federal government at this point would be the goddamn librarian at the archive. The most important person is the presidential fucking archivist.
What she
at this
says
point.
goes.
Amen.
Yes. So,
Bro,
the
people in gray suits with no names and no faces.
Yes.
That's my shit this episode. That's where I'm at.
Yes.
That's fucking NPCs right here. In
yes,
work.
100%. Yes. So the presidential documents thing, right?
Yes.
The concept of the ownership, or the concept behind the government ownership of documents, because that's what we keep hearing. And at first I was like, ew. Just hearing those documents are the property of the government, that doesn't sound good at all.
Boom.
That doesn't feel good at all. No. They're the property. Those pieces of paper are owned by the federal government.
That's our documents.
Who is the fucking federal government? Who is
According
that?
to Joe Biden, it's we the people.
Because
we're the government.
An entity, I don't think, should be able to own property. I don't
No.
think that's really fucking how that works.
Individuals own property.
Right. So I was very uncomfortable with that term. It feels very not good to say that, right? The concept behind it, the government ownership of documents, is in the interest of all of the president's information being public knowledge, right? Which makes sense. If they're going to be a public employee and a public servant, you should know the things that are happening, especially because they do sus shit all the time.
All
right?
the time.
We should know about that.
Yeah. I want to hit on this real quick. Deborah, but the
Yes.
president has the power to declassify them. Amen.
Yes.
So this is a whole wrinkle in the story, right? Is this system
Espionage and
of
whatnot.
classification,
Right.
Right? Who has whatever the fuck. When we were talking about the Hillary Clinton situation, totally different situation because she doesn't have the power to declassify things. The president himself, his or herself, or themself, Z-self. Bro. I read some fucking article the other day that was it was about a queer person, self-identified as queer, and the article changed pronouns like 8 different times throughout the first 2 paragraphs,
so
and I gave it
awesome.
up. But the idea being that there has never been a situation at which the concept of how classification is done and carried through and declassification is done and carried out has ever had to become front and center before, because what it really does is it paints this picture of secrecy within the federal government, specifically the executive branch of government, that just has the innate ability at any time to keep secrets from the people of the United States just by determination of whoever the fuck is in the chair at the time.
Because there isn't anything in the Constitution that says it. It's
Period.
It's just a bunch of precedent based on itself.
Exactly.
And that's why all they can talk about is the norms.
There was
right?
no
The
such
norms
thing
that
as
have been broken.
classification when the founding fathers were around.
It was just secrets.
They would have just said like,
we just
what
did,
do you
I just
mean?
didn't tell them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and so
John Adams, Benjamin Franklin are in France making peace deals before anybody even knows about it. Why
Exactly.
didn't you tell anyone? It's not classified. I just fucking was trying to get shit done.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just
I'm
hustling
doing
over here.
stuff.
I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And so
there was right.
it's become a huge thing now, because whatever is going to come out of this is going to set some form of precedent about the classification process. And when it is established, because they fucking hate Orange Man so bad, that there needs to become some process that is outside of the executive's blatant authority that has to be gone through for the president to declassify something, we've officially given over all secrecy. We've given it over to the bureaucratic state, the nameless and faceless gray shirts that run the goddamn deep state.
The clandestine.
Period.
The unknown clandestine.
Yeah. And because they're going to have to do that, because otherwise they don't have anything. Because literally he can just say, well, I declassified all the shit done. I don't understand what you're talking about.
Right.
The archivist says I need this one. I'm saying, well, fuck you. You don't need it. It's not classified.
He even has
bitch.
people in his arena that are saying that, and the only argument against it is, well, there's no documentation that states that. To which their argument is, we don't fucking need it. He doesn't need it, right?
Exactly.
And that's this whole. What was it during Bush? Right, the whole idea, Scalia, I think it was that.
Antonin Scalia.
The unitary executive theory of it doesn't matter. He can do whatever he wants because there aren't other limitations laid out in the executive, and also all these things that are under purview of his, he can fucking do whatever he wants.
Yep.
You know, that's not that's not a good way to be looking at this, and this is a direct expression of that.
Yep.
So I'm not trying to defend him. But again, if you're going to be getting after him and breaking these norms that you claim are so precious, then where are the fucking receipts at? And if everything is so important to the public purview, then where are the fucking receipts at? Because if you're just going to let news companies pontificate about, like you just did, about, oh, he's selling fucking nuclear secrets and he's selling out undercover informants to federal governments, that's some slanderous, and I'm not like he should prosecute them, but like, what are we talking about here?
Exactly.
You're just there, say whatever you want, because we can't say what he did or didn't do, because it's classified.
Yellow journalism at its finest.
Could be anything, you know, and there is one article or one thing that we saw a source with knowledge on the situation that told us that maybe he was selling nuclear secrets. So we can fucking report that.
I'm a source familiar with the situation.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
Right there. That's the fucking line. Okay.
Ooh.
I am a source with as much familiarity to the situation as anybody else. Why? Because it's all fucking classified and none of these fucking people can know about it. Unless they're government whistleblowers who have a channel. They have channels to go through. But no, you're talking average Joe as a motherfucker. I talked to somebody who thinks they know something because they read some articles and has some kind of credential probably that I just justify my sourcing with.
Yeah.
You can't believe any of this shit. It's all garbage. They can't prove a goddamn thing. Everything about this is speculation. The only thing that's not speculation is that this is the very first time in fucking American history that the executive branch has used the weapon. They have used his available weapons in his alphabet soup agency to go after his active and most prominent political rival. Period. A former president, which just adds a fucking cherry on top to that.
It doesn't look good at all.
No, man, this is all bad.
And it doesn't...
Trump is as close to the average Joe American as you're going to get. Which is so sad because a New York City multimillionaire billionaire is the closest to the average Joe we're going to get.
No.
Which, you know, Trump's got a good history in New York City of sticking up for the average Joe and trying to save people dollars. He does. He's got a good history of that. But the brother don't understand what it's like to live a normal life next to anybody else in Congress.
No.
AOC's probably got a better idea of how to live a semi-normal life, even though her story of being a bartender and doing all that is all a bunch of bullshit anyway. She's got a silver spoon in her mouth too, but none of these people understand what it's like to be me or you. Nobody does.
No.
Trump listened to those people. And that's the best thing that's probably come out of that.
At least the first presidents, like George Washington was a fucking general, right? He didn't have even an education past like equivalent to like seventh grade, you know, at best.
Which is pretty good for the day.
Yeah. John Adams owned a farm that he retired to and worked for the rest of the time. His kid did the same shit. He was only a scholar because his fucking dad was the president, was a government official, and sent him off to do those things in service of the government. You know, Thomas Jefferson, the same shit, was one of the there. And I'm not trying to make a direct comparison, but compared to where we came from, you know, to call anybody like Donald Trump an average Joe is a sad thing.
Yeah,
you
right.
know? And he's not wrong. Joseph is not wrong.
No, he's not wrong.
But it's a sad.
It's where we're at.
Sad thing to see.
And oh man, Deborah, definitely. This was the ice skating rink story on the IRL with the best Bond villain ever from License to Kill. He told this story because he grew up in New York and all this stuff about how oh my God, I used to live there. Why can't I think of it? But the big ice skating rink, it's an icon in New York City. You've seen it somewhere. I mean, Home Alone and shit like that.
Okay,
the fucking
right
and next to the building and shit, the Rockefeller Center.
Yes.
Yeah. Trump came in and took over the project and saved the entire thing a shit ton of fucking money, and then gave it all to charity.
Really?
Yeah, because
Oh,
they
Donald Trump.
were doing it all fucked up. They were trying to do it with some bad technology. They were over budget, over schedule, the whole 9 yards. And then all of a sudden, he gets involved and calls up fucking Canada. Hey, how do you guys make ice skating rinks? Oh, you don't even use the same material we're using? Okay, cool, done. All right, motherfuckers, this is how you build this. Boom, and it gets built.
God.
And then all the extra savings and stuff like that.
But
He
he's such an
promised to give
idiot,
to
right?
charity, and then he gave it to charity. No, he was a good
he's
about the
such
copper
an idiot,
pipes
right?
compared to like rubber pipes. Yeah,
He's such an idiot.
he's such an idiot. It's so hard with him, man.
Hate it. And I don't even I hate to defend him. Like, I hate to say that, because why should I hate to defend him? Just because he has just a persona about him of like he's terrible. He just has said some wild shit. Like, that's where he said some wild shit, which I think only speaks to the everyman's thing, because in the age of cancellation,
people say wild shit,
I said
man.
wild shit in the review preview. I said
You said
that's
wild shit
cancelable.
today.
So
We all do.
Yeah.
It's called living a normal life.
I didn't say, I can grab them all by the pee, but fuck. I mean,
If I
probably
got
said
millions of
worse
dollars
shit
to
than
do that, you probably can.
I probably said worse shit than that on this show. In
It's
the
all
time that we've been doing
situational.
it. So
It's all situational, man.
that's wild.
Yeah, that's wild. If I was a multimillionaire and involved in fucking reality TV and fucking, all
I'd
these,
probably say some crazy
amen.
stuff.
Amen, dude.
I would
Celebrity
probably
does
say
a
some
lot of shit to
crazy
people,
stuff.
man. It's
And
you
if
got to give the
that's-
dude his due
and if
diligence.
that's been situationally true for you, like,
I want those problems,
at any
buddy.
point in time, if it's been situationally true, it's not a crazy thing to say.
Yeah.
It's silly, but also if you don't know that you're being mic'd up, you're gonna say, I'm not trying to know this. What are we doing? What are we doing here? We're no, we're not doing this today. We're not. I can't believe that we just naturally
God.
found our way down this path. We're not going to defend.
But that's where we're at with the Trump. That's where we're at with the Trump date.
But this is where we're at. Oh, this is terrible.
If we're gonna find out. His lawyer kind of fucked him a little bit because it sounds like there was some. The latest reporting on it is that his lawyer, who happens to know Posobiec, what's his first name? Oh my God, Jack Posobiec. She was the lawyer that was present, signed off on everything that had to do with the warrant and all that shit. Apparently, she was also the one that signed off on the receipt from the archive saying you had all top secret material, blah, blah, blah. You had all the stuff, and thank you, Deborah. And it looks like now, well, maybe that wasn't the case, but then also there's the whole declassification aspect of things, so who fucking knows at this point, man. At this point, if they're going to indict him, they're going to do it, regardless of whether or not it's legal or whether or not they have the constitutional ability to. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it.
He'll run from jail.
He will.
He will fucking run from jail.
And that is not an unprecedented thing to do.
No, he'll do it too.
Yeah. And he'll probably fucking win if he does.
He'll win the primary for sure. No doubt he'll win. If he's in jail, he'll absolutely win the primary. If it's common knowledge that he can run in jail and win,
it's in. Nothing to stop you from. Nothing bars you from running for president in jail.
And do you know what?
Nothing does.
Do you know what would be the statesmanly thing to do of Joe Biden if they were running against each other? To pardon Donald Trump, to make it a fair competition.
Oh man.
Also, if he wins, then what?
Then
You're
what?
just let him not be president because he's in jail?
Then
Fuck no.
Yep. Then oh man.
Fuck no. Pardon his ass. Put him in jail. Put him in the office. He just won.
I love this movie. This is a great movie. I want to make this movie.
Someone make this before the election. Let's
Please.
just rapido.
Let's talk
I don't
to the
care
homie.
what the outcome is. I just want to see it play out because I don't know what it would be.
We're about to talk about Joe Biden, right? Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
Okay. So to
we
do
can
this,
talk about the Joe Biden speech or move on to Hunter Biden, whichever one you want.
ooh. I'm trying to think. Do we balance out Hunter Biden with, and then do the Joe Biden thing because that's his dad? Let's do Joe Biden first.
Okay.
I just really got to make sure we play this trailer for this movie.
100%, because I want to watch
And I know, Deborah's, you're going to like this because you watched that fucking episode about with the director of this movie.
Yes.
And I immediately went and watched the trailer for this movie. I'm so fucking excited about
I've
it.
fallen out of IRL lately. That's my own fault. But
You have 2 kids.
that is
All I'm saying.
It's true.
You got a lot going on.
Yeah. So the Joe Biden speech on Thursday. Right?
Yes.
This is.
So you heard it at first. Let's preface this.
Yes.
You listened to it at
Yeah,
first. So
I
you had a
heard-
different reaction the very first time, and then you watched it this morning?
This morning, yeah.
Okay.
I listened to about half of it in the truck on the way to Aaron's house on Thursday night.
Okay. So tell me about your initial reaction from listening to it.
I told Jordan, I love her so much. Before I even said anything, she said, this is like 1984. And I said, it's very Orwellian. So this is a very, very Orwellian thing. And I read about this earlier today, that the intent was to discuss, the threats to democracy. And I said, I just don't see the benefit of demonizing half of the country before I even heard the speech. I don't see the benefit of demonizing half of the country by saying that they're threats to democracy when you've already done that to people who identify as parts of militia, or anybody who's hanging a Gadsden flag in their house, or anything like that. So this seems like it's a bad idea. And then listening to it, when I'm hearing repeatedly threat to democracy, threat to democracy, threat to democracy, so this, you're further isolating these people that you are demonizing for being isolated, right? When you take this situation, this very delicate, very nuanced situation of the election, and you 100% wholeheartedly discount legitimate concerns about a democratic process that is happening in this country, and then turn that on someone and tell them, not only are your concerns illegitimate, this was the most fair, the most free election that has ever taken place in this country. This will not fix this situation, right? We have talked on this show about the documentaries that still exist on HBO that I watched 2 weeks ago that show you that some of the machines that were used in the 2020 election can be hacked remotely, and the votes can be changed by a simple alteration of the coding on the memory cards that are inserted within them, right? This technology exists. This is not, if we get pulled off YouTube, it's whatever. That's real. There's a documentary that's still on HBO right now called Kill Chain that you can go and watch. It still exists, right? We know by the reporting of Project Veritas, there was ballot harvesting, right? And we can debate all day about whether or not that should be illegal or whether it should be legal. Currently, it's illegal, and we know that it happened, right? And if Steven Crowder can be believed, then we know for a fact that there are some of the addresses in Michigan that don't exist.
Yeah.
Some of that information is falsified.
Yep.
Right? So those things are certainly 2 of the 3. I'm not gonna say I disbelieve Steven Crowder, because he has a lot of legal liability for lying about shit like that. So I tend to believe that. So 2 of 3, and at best 3 of 3 of those things are factually verified. When you discount those factually verified concerns, you're not making anything better. You're further dividing the country while claiming that you're making things better, while claiming that you are uniting the country in this same speech, that your intent is to unite the country.
Yep.
This is the worst possible movie you could make. I didn't even see the visuals of it. It was only the audio. It wasn't until today that I saw the pictures of it. I told you that night. It wasn't until today that I saw the video itself from C-SPAN. So it's not edited. It's not any of that type of stuff. 20 Mules, I can't verify. There's been some suspicion about that. The publisher of 20 Mules has retracted those books. I've not watched the movie. I've not read the book, not for any particular reason. I just have not made my way around to it. But I did hear this week the publisher made a recall of the books because there may be, I don't know, maybe some legal concerns over some of the things. I don't know. Dinesh D'Souza, I don't really have any reason to automatically disbelieve him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I can't account for that. And the only reason I didn't include that is because there seemed to be maybe some concerns about the things in there. I don't know for certain, but I don't want to put my stamp on it, especially not having watched the movie or read the book. I don't want to put my stamp on it. But yes, I just heard that just this week. I heard that about 20 Mules. So, like I said, I can't verify for certain why they are being recalled, but the books are being recalled. I heard about Breaking Points. These fucking assholes. They're like, and it's not like they said it's the publisher. It's not the wokesters at Barnes and Noble, and like kind of like laugh that up. Okay, go take a fucking walk through Barnes and Noble. Tell me that a wokester didn't pick the books that are in that store. Amen. Right? Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. The hope is in the elections. We wait until they're at our door, and it will be too late. Yeah, if they're at your door, it's not good. Yeah, it's not good. Not a good sign.
And to speak to the 20 Mules thing, right? You can almost take that off the board because regardless, like you said before, there's other things that exist that say these are legitimate concerns that you are refusing to address, and all you do when I bring them up is call me a conspiracy theorist and an election denier. Fuck you.
Yeah.
That's not how this works at all. That's not how any of this is supposed to work at all. And like I said, you can almost remove it completely. That whether or not 100% factual or not doesn't really matter even at play. That's just another tally in a column.
Right.
That's all. You don't even need it necessarily because there are so many legitimate things. The court in Pennsylvania.
I was just gonna I forgot to say that one.
The court in Pennsylvania that for some reason deemed what they did that was blatantly unconstitutional. They were like, well, actually, it's fine.
We went over that as well. Yep.
There's
you
so
went over
many
that
things.
Extensively.
There's so many things that call into question and I'm not even saying the legitimacy of the outcome. We'll just say the legitimacy of the election process. Period.
The way it was done.
Yes. Yeah. And now learning essentially the way it's been done for a long time. I mean, it was not that long ago in 2016. The fucking Democrats were saying all this stuff, and was the right? Were they out there trying to get these people canceled and pulled off of platforms for saying that Russia got Trump elected? No.
Amy Klobuchar's in an HBO movie.
A fucking man.
Ron Wyden. They're in that HBO movie.
They're all in the movie, man. All the same motherfuckers.
Yeah.
So I can't take anything they say with any shred of legitimacy.
No.
You can't at all. And so to get back to the speech, once you saw the visuals, now all of a sudden all this audio is in context. Now you got this dude on a podium who's solely lit up. You got Marines in the background. And for God's sakes, whoever decided it was a good idea to do red, blue, red, and lights, and so that all the camera shots were just this crimson blood red with the way the fucking Roman architecture and stuff like that, the way the light caught all the what do you call that stuff, like the trim of the columns, a fucking red eagle behind Joe Biden standing up there with his fuck, and the entire speech was him yelling and waving his arms. Not a good look, bro.
Well, talking about threats to democracy, threat to democracy, threat to democracy. Yes.
Real, it's such a... And the problem is they've played this out for so many years at this point, but that's some fucking Hitlerian shit right there.
Yeah.
That is some scary... I mean, Chancellor Sutler from V for Vendetta, man.
Looked like
it
Hitler
is not
Eagle.
good. Looked like Hitler Eagle. Amen. It did. They don't understand what Dark Brandon really means, man. They don't understand that it originated in China.
Yeah.
But it's not a good look. I hated the speech. Everything he had to say was, and like I said, I'm not a MAGA Trump supporting Republican. I'm not, but I am an extremist in their eyes. I am the person that they're talking about, even though I am not a Trump fanatic. The problem is they don't understand. Well, maybe they do, maybe they don't. But when they say the MAGA Republicans, they're not. That's a colloquial term. It doesn't actually mean a Trump supporting fucking Trump waving, Trump flag waving dude with a Make America Great hat on that's outside protesting outside of Mar-a-Lago. That's not a MAGA Republican. It's me and you. That's who they're talking about. Anybody that is not
establishment Republican.
Anybody that is not on their team is a MAGA Republican, and they are extremists, and they are a threat to their democracy. They missed that part of the speech. Every time he said threat to democracy. It's a threat to their democracy. It's their system of government. It's their establishment. It's their government. It's not for you unless you're on our team. That was the biggest takeaway I had from that speech. It was, I am not allowed. I'm not invited to be a part of this unity unless I am on their side, unless I agree with everything that comes out of their mouths and their policies and all this. I'm not invited to the party, and that is not a good place to be, man. That's why I saw this thing as 100%. I mean, it sounded like a fucking declaration of war to me.
Yeah,
it was not good, man. The rhetoric was disgusting. The first time a president. It's one thing if some dude gets out there on the campaign trail and blah blah, and does this shit, right? It's one. This is the sitting president of the United States who is not actively campaigning, getting on there and making a public address to my fellow Americans.
I'm going to speak as plainly as I can in front of this very significant arena, right? This very significant place.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I think Joseph.
It's a big club, and I'm not invited.
None of us. I think Joseph makes a good point. It was meant to be a provocation for the right. And one of the best takes that I heard about this was actually from one of the T-Rex Arms guys, Drew Hopkins, and he was from a big picture perspective. And his take was that an angry reaction of any type of intensity is exactly what the Biden administration is looking for, right? Because that type of the meeting the provocation with some type of violent action only legitimizes exactly what they want, right? It brings to pass the claim that they're predicting, and it would be the perfect excuse for them to just continue to concentrate power and say, well, we have to do these things. We don't have any choice, we don't want to, but we have to do this.
Yeah.
And
we got to stamp out all these violent extremists.
Yeah. Yeah. The best reaction is a tempered one, is to remember this and continue to do what you are doing and solidify your home life and prepare yourself for whatever outcome you think is most likely, and that is the best way to continue to do what you find to be moral, continue to do what you find to be right, and don't let anybody infringe on your rights. Doesn't matter if they're the federal government or a private citizen or anybody. Don't let anybody infringe on your rights. This now is the time to be making lines in the sand and to be deciding where your line is. Don't capitulate on that.
No, man. Now is the time, because I mean, if the call to draw your line and to choose a side has ever been more clear, it's now. I mean, the president himself made it very clear the other day. If you're not with us, you're against us. If you're not with us and our protection of democracy, then you're against us and you're an extremist. Yes. And you're out to tear down our democracy, and that's bad times to come, bro.
Yeah.
But hopefully light will shine through the dark. Hopefully, at the end of the day, after all these fucking idiots kill themselves, we'll be able to build a beautiful, voluntarist, anarchist society on the back end. I don't know. Oh, all right. So it was bad. We all recognize it's bad.
Yes.
And now before we get into Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
Let's watch this preview for a movie.
Oh, yes.
That is going to be coming out next week on the 7th of September.
Let's see it.
It is going to be fantastic. Here we go.
Like you need $1 billion.
So the obvious next...
Well, I hit a button.
Gina Carano? That's awesome.
That's Gina Carano's in this, yeah.
So I'll tell you what's going down.
You know who I am.
I told me you were VIP. All connected to the government.
Yep.
What kind of a moron forgets to pick up his laptop at a repair shop? You're a Biden. Act like one. Everything he built, his life, I just ruined it all. I want to know everything that's on that laptop that can ruin my erection. My friends, it's time to party!
Yeah, didn't you know? I'm taking control. I'm making appearance and I gotta go. Cause I get them dancing with their hands up. Yeah, I walk in and they go bananas. I'm a bad, yeah.
I'm an artist.
And they're cheering my
Tell me how I can help you.
I don't deserve help. Oh, I'm so sorry.
I've been through worse.
You're the smartest man I know. Thanks, Dad. I just wish I could speak some sense into you. never forget Corn Pop. He was a bad dude. No joke. Dad, we were talking about suffering.
I can't seem to find anything but positive stuff on the Bidens.
Who's the point man for the foreign policy in the Obama regime? Joe Biden. So it looks like you need $1 billion.
So the obvious next question is,
Where's Hunter?
I can remember getting paid some money, but I can't remember what for. Well, my dad says we never discuss my businesses, period. Or my cut.
what's happening in there? Joe's in on it.
Party's over!
You had everything, Hunter, and you threw it all away. You hope the laptop will take down everybody with you.
Oh, no shit.
China's not our enemy. They're not bad folks. I love my dad, and I just want to make him proud. I am the one who brings in all the deals. I am the one. The boy.
Yeah. September 7th.
Wow.
That looks fucking awesome. There we go. Hit the button. Yeah, so there you go. My Son Hunter.
Word.
So kind of a lot of breaking the fourth wall, kind of
I like
Wolf of
it.
Wall Street style.
Vice.
Very Vice style. Yeah, same type of stuff. It looks really awesome.
I like it.
I'm impressed by the seemingly high production value for such a
Yeah.
short amount of time to be filming this thing. I mean, the dude's only been in office so long. That seems pretty up there as far
I
as
love
quality
that.
goes. So
I love that.
I'm
so
looking forward to
much.
that. And it's unfortunately how to get it. It's like you can prepay for it now, and it's done through like Breitbart News and whatever. So they're producing it. I think they're trying to take Daily Wire.
That's becoming pretty common, though.
Yeah.
You know, Louis C.K. just sold his movie on his own website, and Andrew Schultz doing his thing. That's becoming very common for people to just sell their own shit.
Yeah, it's just
the model's proven now.
It's getting harder and harder. You know, you're gonna have to go out there and actually put in your credit card into a separate place to be able to do the thing, and
That's why I got PayPal and shit, man.
That's a good point. PayPal. How's that treating old homie? I haven't been watching.
I don't know whether or not he's been pretty sporadic about it.
Yeah.
You know, so I usually stream pretty late, so I'm not going to watch.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm too tired for that.
Yeah, I'm too tired for that.
So this next segment, this kind of hits again on more the clandestine, bureaucratic state that we were talking about. It's the Hunter Biden Tim Tebow story, right? Tim Tebow, whatever.
Tim Tebow.
Yeah,
We're just gonna call him Tebow.
So we're all familiar with the OG Hunter Biden laptop story, right? So this is regarding a letter penned by Chuck Grassley stating that he received highly credible whistleblower intel that there was a concerted effort within the FBI to actively downplay the Hunter Biden laptop story leading up to the 2020 election.
Specifically by Assistant Special Agent in Charge Tim Tebow.
Yes.
Who just last weekend resigned, whether he wanted to or not. He did indeed resign.
People in the FBI say that he had reached retirement age.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You know,
so that's a thing.
Just saying, that's what they say.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So this article I have is from the New York Post. There's 38 sources, 88% right, 3% left. So isn't that interesting?
Well, it's all just Russian disinformation, didn't you know?
Yeah. A top FBI agent in the Washington field office reportedly resigned from his post this week after facing intense scrutiny over allegations he helped shield Hunter Biden from criminal investigations into his laptop and business dealings. Timothy Tebow, an FBI assistant special agent in charge, was allegedly forced out after he was accused of political bias in his handling of probes involving President Biden's son, sources tell the Washington Times on Monday. The agent was escorted out of the field office by at least two headquarters-looking types last Friday, the sources said. Tebow and the FBI didn't immediately respond to the request. Another article that I said, let's see, this one's from CBS. Let's see here. Come on,
Come on. Fucking internet trying to keep you down, bro.
Yeah, because I think this article says that it's normal for people
to be escorted out of the building.
Yeah, which I thought was weird. But I mean, I guess if it's the FBI, but I don't.
A lot of federal jobs are like that. Actually.
Yeah.
The day you leave, if
leave your gun and badge, you get escorted out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at that point, once you turn in your gun and your badge, you're no
just a
longer
citizen.
Yeah, and you have to be led out of the building.
Right. Okay. So Chuck Grassley started raising concerns about the whistleblower claims that the FBI had obstructed his own investigations into his first son. Guy looks like an asshole. It's a picture of shirtless Hunter Biden. It's nice.
He is a fucking asshole.
In a letter to the
MAGA.
FBI director, Christopher Wray, on July, Grassley said Taiwan FBI supervisor intelligence analyst Brian Otten were allegedly involved in a scheme to undermine derogatory information connected to Hunter Biden by falsely suggesting it was disinformation. Okay, so that kind of will blend this in with Mark Zuckerberg, right? Because Mark Zuckerberg was on Joe Rogan last week. Mark Zuckerberg says that. And it's difficult because even by the way he was talking, it doesn't sound like Mark Zuckerberg was actually involved in the conversation.
Yeah.
Somebody else was involved in the conversation. And the crux of it is that someone at Meta was told by the FBI that there was likely to be an influx of Russian disinformation and that they should be on the lookout for it. Mark Zuckerberg, and I think this was some of this was kind of overblown a little bit by some of the right media, Steven Crowder and stuff like that. But there is legitimacy to this, right? Because Mark Zuckerberg said, and this story seemed to fit the mold of what they described. What the fuck that means, we don't know, because like I said, it doesn't sound like Mark Zuckerberg was actually involved in that conversation.
No.
So I don't know what the details of that were, and it doesn't seem to be as clear cut as the Alex Berenson thing, where they have receipts of why the fuck is this guy still on Twitter, right? It doesn't seem like thus far that's what's happening. Maybe if it somehow is a discovery process, that might become the case. But that's like a whole another deal that I think is probably really unlikely.
Yeah I
but
think so.
These things seem to be connected, right? And it can optically, at the very fucking least, which I almost guarantee there is more. This does not look very good. And
No.
it doesn't look like you can argue that there is separation between the Department of Justice and the Biden administration. Even if Biden is not directing these people to do things, they are obviously, seemingly acting on his behalf, acting in favor of his behalf.
Oh yeah, definitely, or at least at the very least against Donald Trump, who was in office at the time, or if I recall correctly, this was the same exact field office that was also handling the Russiagate situation as well, right? And so it doesn't surprise me that these people they decided to put down on one. They try to tamp down one investigation and kind of uplift the other investigation, because they obviously had a person that they would have rather gone after at that point, because he was public enemy number one to the deep state at that point. But it is also important to remember, as far as Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg are concerned, right? I agree with you. I don't know if Zuck really had that much insider information about what exactly
Sounds to me like he got told about it.
Exactly.
Like the conversation happened and someone came and told him about it.
And then the next question you need to ask is, okay, well, who did they tell, right? The vast makeup of these counterintelligence style internet security departments of social media and stuff like that are generally ex-FBI and CIA agents.
Yes.
And so
there is a huge amount of that.
So they are people from the same bureaucratic state that have just switched over now into, instead of monitoring the government's end of things, they are taking their same ideology and their same shit over to the private sector on a much larger scale now.
To run security and stuff like
Amen.
that
and so when they get the hookup from their old co-workers and their old homies at the FBI, I said, well, obviously I know exactly what that means. I know the Hunter Biden story now is definitely Russian disinfo, so we're going to shut that shit down. At Twitter, at fucking Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram now. It's the same people, man. These are just it's the new revolving door. It's the people that went from government that used to go into, say, like the military industrial complex. Now they go into social media. Now they have their own, industrial complex to go into for themselves, because they, the cybersecurity units or whatever that area of government now is, they now have a private sector out that they go to now, and it's totally filled with all these people, except now they have full fucking reign because they're private citizens.
So Mark Zuckerberg said, basically the background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, hey, just so you know, like, you should be on high alert, Zuckerberg told Rogan on the JRE.
Mm-hmm.
We thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump that's similar to that, so just be vigilant. Also, Tebow also allegedly tried to kill off a valid avenue of investigation of possible Hunter Biden criminality until at least 1 month before the November 2020 election. This is a quote from the letter. Tebow allegedly ordered the matter closed without providing a valid reason as required by FBI guidelines, and subsequently attempted to improperly mark the matter in FBI systems so that it could not be open to the future. It was the same month the Post first started reporting on Hunter Biden's abandoned laptop, which includes troves of emails related to his shady overseas business dealings.
Fact check true.
Isn't that weird?
Isn't it, though? Isn't it weird that all of this is happening? Like, it doesn't surprise me at all. Joseph Garrett, Facebook is not letting part 1 and 2 of Project Veritas circulate. I don't know what the latest these part 1 and part 2s are.
It's about schools. It's about the. I've only heard clips of it. I've not watched the whole thing because we were prepping for this and we had already set up the topics. But it's about schools. I heard clips of it on Cairo, and one of them was like I think a principal of school talking about how he wouldn't hire Catholic teachers if you found out they were Catholic, wouldn't hire conservative teachers because you couldn't break them out of their mindset. They weren't open to trying new things. It was not good.
Interesting.
It's not good.
Oh, what is happening here, dude?
It doesn't seem good. It shows up that I shared it, but people who follow me don't see it unless I send it a message. So, Joseph, let me tell you, the reason that almost every time we run the socials and we say fuck Facebook is because it got to the point with us in Facebook that they literally wouldn't allow us to give them money for ads. Mm-hmm. I went through the process of even communicating with somebody on the back end who told me that we had violated some form of community guidelines and we needed to check. They directed me to a page that didn't exist, actually. Yeah. When I found the page that they were referencing, because they called it something different than what it really is, it showed that we had nothing on our page, no check marks, no anything that would hinder us from putting out an ad. We still weren't allowed to place an ad on Facebook for no reason at all. We post our episodes on Facebook. That is it. We get almost zero interaction on Facebook. We do not go there. It is not a place that is friendly to us. It is not a place that is friendly to these ideals. We do not go there. Yep. We are on there. I don't even know why we still post shit on there, to be fucking honest.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll stop because fuck Facebook. I know it doesn't, we don't get anything from there. No one shares anything on there. No one fucking likes our stuff except for like Jordan and maybe Carolina. Yeah. So it doesn't, there is no service to it. Yeah. You know, Instagram is the place that is most friendly. Even it's weird because they're owned by the same company, and Instagram is still malicious with us. It's still very difficult for us to get some things out there, but we at least can pay them to promote some of our items.
It is so frustrating, man.
Yes.
I sit there, I post salty shorts, and one day I'll go to post it. You know, it's simple when you do it from, because you have to do it, you know, I do it from the desktop, obviously, because all the editing stuff is done here. So, like, you go to post it, and some days you hit, okay, post, link, and then you click, it's asks you to click the file, and then it just brings you back, hey, please select the file. And then some days you go, okay, please select the file, you click it, and then the little rainbow wheel starts spinning, and eventually it'll post, and sometimes it doesn't, but it's such a problem, man. Ooh. Look at that. Look at that.
The stickers are in our possession.
Look at that.
We have the 6 keys. Say it with a Chinese accent. Oh, geez. No. That'll get us canceled for sure. The 6 keys are here, guys. We have the vinyls. Said if you want some vinyl stickers, some SOS vinyls, we have them.
That's probably who the dog was just barking at.
Yeah, probably.
I love it.
We have the equipment. So we also have the T-shirts. If you guys want T-shirts,
that's right.
Sweatshirts. Winter's coming up. If y'all want some sweatshirts,
during the next break, I'll run out to the mailbox. I'll grab the vinyl so we can show them off.
We got the thick ass sweatshirts,
dude. Those things, I'm telling you right now, to date, the best sweatshirt I've ever owned.
Yes,
it's a nice thick. It's not too hot though, but you get that heavy feel when you wear it. It's a nice fucking thick hoodie. We got the hookup at work. We get some high quality material over there.
If it gets cold where you guys are during winter,
that's right. It is the time.
Good sweaties, bro. Okay. Yes. So, the last
got them
thing,
sweaties.
Yeah, the last thing I think we have in this segment is Alex Berenson, right? And
Alex
this just kind
Berenson.
of speaks to this same idea, and then we'll talk about what does this have to do with Liberty, and then we'll get out of here. And
I think I called him Chris Berenson on the live stream last night.
It doesn't matter.
I couldn't
He's
figure it out.
kind of a douche. So
Kind of a douche.
it's okay.
I like the Substack.
So
I'm a fan of the Substack.
Alex Berenson, right? He is a reporter who was sharing things on Twitter, valid information that turns out now that it's factual. So weird, like we talked about earlier, people getting canceled, they're getting cut off. I had the whole rant. It was a whole deal, right?
He was a fallen New York Times journalist, actually. Yeah.
So he is actively suing the White House and one of their employees in particular because he has evidence, he has receipts that this person, I'm going to say, colluded with Twitter to ban him off of their service.
Yes.
And
100%.
He's got the receipts, he has the evidence, he has the everything, he's got the studies, he's got all of the things.
I've seen him with my own 2 eyes on his Substack.
Yes. So there is, again, this just feeds into the same thing we're talking about. There's obviously collusion going on between private industry and the federal government. They are working together to fuck you. They're working together to come down on people who do not agree with their ideology.
Yep.
This is happening. To deny it any longer, it's no longer of service to anybody. To have friends who deny it any longer is no longer of service. And I'm not saying abandon all of your friends. You have to show them, share this with them, these segments, right? This segment, part 3, will be released in and of itself. It will be just over an hour long. Show it to them. Ask them, you're going to watch a movie this week, watch this instead. Because this is going to show you articles. They will explain to you how this is happening, because it is happening. You just watched it. We just went over it for an hour. We didn't say anything that wasn't real. We told you when it was conjecture. We told you when we were postulating on things, right? We said that. I went to get a beer. Colin said, I want to postulate on this. We said that to you. The factual information is here. And if you want the other information we talked about, the Crowder things that we talked about, the ballot harvesting, the HBO documentary is still there, the Pennsylvania explanation, all those things are we've done all those things in the past. If you go back to when the election happened, you can listen to those episodes. We went over all of those things. Colin was into the Pennsylvania thing. You broke down in detail how they violated their constitution.
Really bothered me.
It's all there. We talked about all of this.
Yep.
This is all factual. If you have anybody who does not believe you, share this with them.
Yep. And luckily, you started this right off the bat when we first started doing the show. You started to put the date of recording.
It's there
on the title, so you can go back. You know what it is you're looking for. It's easy to find. You can do it.
There.
You got this.
Yes. So Alex Berenson is currently suing the federal government. He's suing the White House. He's suing this particular employee. I don't remember what his name is. The collusion is happening. It's happening. There's no point in denying this, right?
Yep.
So this kind of brings us to our final point. What does this have to do with freedom and liberty? We have underlined this the entire time that we've been here, right? There is a clandestine effort within the intelligence community, the Department of Justice, to retain and grow the power that has been centralized in the executive branch. Right? There's no question about that. They're working actively to erode our rights and to make you defenseless, fortify their own legal and physical protection, and do whatever they can, do whatever they need to get anyone to submit to their will. Right? This administration has no intent of unifying the nation, and no administration involved with this government, the way that it currently exists, will ever be for or by the people. It's impossible. So, with that, unless you have anything else that you want to add.
No, I like this. This is you fucking nice bow on everything.
So
man.
with that, we're going to take our last break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. We'll be back with the stickers. We'll be back with some more beers. And we'll be here for the grab bag. We have lots of good stuff going on.
So much good stuff.
We'll
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out.
Thank you, everyone.
Hey everybody, Colin here from Salt the Streets. Thank you for watching today's edition of Salty Shorts. If you liked what you saw, please be sure to check out the full episode right here on the Salt of the Streets YouTube channel. Please give us a like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to share this with all your friends. And you too can become a spreader of the message of liberty. Thanks.
Welcome to the Salt of the Streets, coming at you